Markets continue to see heightened volatility, and it's literally a countdown to 3:30 p.m. as the F&O expiry looms. The question is, will there be some sort of clarification from the Finance Ministry on the P-notes and FII taxation issue for the rollover deadline? Prime Minister Manmohan Singh inaugurates the two-day BRICS summit in New Delhi, says that governments must ensure policy coordination to revive economic growth. Day 3 of the strike at the country's major port, the Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust or JNPT. The estimated loss per day is around 1,500 crore rupees because JNPT contributes 36% of the country's import and export trade. NDTV travels to the site to get you a ground report. Hello and welcome. You're watching breaking news here on NDTV Profit. The markets are continuing with their weak sort of bias right now, with more than 3/4% shaved off both the benchmark indices at this point in time. The Nifty is trading at 5,163. That's off 31 points, but it is the Sensex one must focus on. It's broken past that 17,000 mark right now, trading at 16,972. That's 150 points off the Sensex. Volatility has been reigning supreme right since the start, and it is expected to even intensify in the last hour or so of trade. Right now, the advanced decline picture is extremely weak, like it has been all throughout trade today, with the declining stocks outnumbering the advances by a wide margin, and just 200 stocks are advancing out of the 500 on the S&P CNX 500. Sectorally, there isn't a single space one can really pick up and talk about, except perhaps for the metal index, which is trading in the positive territory, and thereby when we pull up the gainers, you'll see that perhaps some of the metal stocks might show up on the gainers list on the Nifty, but on the draggers pack you have sharp losses on the FMCG space, with the FMCG index right now off more than a percent off each on the infrastructure and IT index. Banks are also taking the selling pressure rather seriously, and you have the PSU banking index right now off 0.5%, 0.8% off on the CNX Realty Index. Meanwhile, we were talking about some of the gainers, and they'll show up on your screens right now. Ranbaxy is a top gainer in today's market, with that stock right now up 4.23%. Hero MotoCorp, Kotak Mahindra Bank and Jindal Steel are some of the other counters which are gaining in this market, and we'll also flip around that chart for you once again and see if there are any more gainers in this market. There will be really standalone gainers because the majority of the counters are witnessing a lot of selling pressure in today's market. But the markets, they are continuing to see heightened volatility, and they will continue to see that. Literally, it's a countdown to 3:30 p.m. as the F&O expiry looms. The question, of course, is, will there be some sort of clarification coming in from the Finance Ministry before the rollover deadline? But why are we likely to see this selling, and is it likely to intensify in the last 30 minutes or so? Prashant, in fact, Pankaj is joining in right now to answer all those questions for us. Pankaj, good afternoon. Why is everyone really homing in on that 3:30 p.m. Mark? What's the countdown about?
Well, Bianca, it's the F&O expiry today, and every time F&O expiry, 60 minutes or the last 60 minutes, 60, 70 minutes continues to have a lot of action, because people really have to make that decision whether they want to roll over or not. Why this time particularly it's important? Because of the P-note issue. If we largely see, arbitrageurs will have to decide on their F&O positions by 3:30 p.m. That is because of expiry. They'll have to decide whether they want to roll over or they don't want to roll over.
Pankaj, thanks to the clarity. So the other question, of course, that even the SEBI market regulator seems to ask is whether or not there will be a clarification coming in from the FinMin, like we pointed out to you a little earlier. Remember, on Tuesday late evening, Pranab Mukherjee sort of tried to calm the markets on this FII selling, taxation, P-notes issue. In fact, and our sources within SEBI, they're indicating that the market regulator says that it too has a rather limited sort of role to play in this, and it's also waiting for a clarification from the Finance Ministry. Vijay Iyer is joining in right now, and he's joining in to explain the SEBI's stand on the P-notes and FII taxation issue.
Absolutely, as you're rightly pointing out, SEBI as a market regulator says they have a very limited role to play when it comes to the policy issues, because FIIs and P-notes being taxed is a policy issue being declared at the budget. So at the offset, if we see, SEBI is very clear that they have a very limited role to play, but at the same time they are saying through informal channels they are taken input from FII, P-note. They are in touch with the Finance Ministry officials on this issue, and hope that it's Finance Ministry which will have to come with any sort of clarification that the FIIs or P notes are looking at the end of the day, because from SEBI's perspective, but they are very clear that all the systems are in place. They are keeping a close watch on the whole situation, because as rightly pointed out, today being the last day of the F&O expiry, SEBI is keeping a close watch on the markets, ensuring that all the systems in the exchanges are in place and there is no panicky that has been created in the market. But having said that, we also need to understand that when it comes to the issue of say FII or P notes, the past experiences have shown that markets react very sharply. That is where SEBI wants to ensure that things are under control.
Okay, Vijay, thanks very much. But you know, in information that we're picking up just as you speak from the Finance Ministry corridors in New Delhi is that some form of clarification, in fact, any form of clarification is unlikely today. What we understand is that we can perhaps expect individual informal quotes from the Finance Ministry officials, but that really doesn't amount to a formal response from the Finance Ministry. And the buzz around the ministry is that the Finance Minister, since he has already made a statement in Parliament earlier this week, therefore a press release is totally out of the question today. And so we'll just have to watch the markets and the market moves in the last hour of trade as we head into that. And like everyone is talking about, all analysts and experts, there might be slightly increased or intensified selling in the last half hour. Then in New Delhi, you have the fourth session of the BRICS summit, which is being hosted in the national capital. Leaders of the emerging economies, that's Brazil, Russia, India and China, and also South Africa, they're discussing trade ties and several global issues. Remember, these 5 BRICS countries, they account for about 25% of the global GDP, about 40% of the world's foreign exchange, and 18% of trade. Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh today, he inaugurated the 2-day BRICS summit in New Delhi, and he said that governments must ensure policy coordination to revive economic growth.
We want to change the economic relations between the South and the North. That South could be strengthened on its own, a point of departure, so that we can stand and do things on our own and be able to really change the economic landscape of the world.
In fact, that comment coming in from President Zuma was an exclusive to NDTV Profit, because Faizan Khan just briefly got a chance to extract that comment out of him before he rushed into more meetings. In other news then, something that we are following closely, Goldman Sachs is holding its annual board meeting here in India. Perhaps it's a sign of the US bank's commitment to one of the fastest growing emerging markets. The board meeting, it's likely to be spread over the next 2 or 3 days. It's going to be held in Mumbai as well as in Delhi. The Wall Street Bank's chairman, Lloyd Blankfein, the COO Gary Cohn and several other officials of that 12-member board, they are in India. Blankfein in fact is in Mumbai today, and he's meeting prominent business leaders in Mumbai. Devina Gupta is joining in right now to give us a quick report of this first of its kind Goldman board meet in India. Devina?
Bianca, the Goldman Sachs board meeting in New Delhi. Meeting going on.
Okay, slight trouble there with the phone line. We'll try and get across to Devina in just a bit once she can hear us properly and we can also hear her, so that we can get a quick update on who are those top business honchos who are meeting Lloyd Blankfein. In fact, we understand that Mukesh Ambani and Cyrus Mistry, also Prashant Ruya, they are some of the people who are going to attend those meetings today. And at the moment, Dr. Subir Gokarn, Adi Godrej and Shikha Sharma, some of the people who are in those meetings with Lloyd Blankfein and company from Goldman Sachs. We'll keep a track of that board meeting. Right now, a short break, more on the other side. Stay with us.